Hey everybody, all right, let's talk about Lucha Underground episodes 3 and 4. It really it just kept getting better and better. I felt like episode 4, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but I feel like let's do a recap first. I feel like episode 4 was the first episode that made me go, okay, the honeymoon phase is over. This is now more like what Lucha Underground is going to continue to feel like. Because like the first 3 episodes were bang, 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 just awesomeness. They were glorious. I just got finished watching NXT TakeOver Orlando, which was also glorious. So the opening recap video package was superbly done. One of the things that WWE does really well are their hype promo packages of showing a storyline or highlights for an event or whatever. Although sometimes the storyline ones can be a bit long and cheesy, but this one was really well edited. It didn't feel like there were a lot of sudden jerky cuts. Like, it felt very fluid. Conan as a talent recruiter, like, I hadn't really felt like that was his role, but the idea that he's this guy who's going out and finding these luchas to bring in, I think it's a really cool role for him. I was laughing so hard at the first match. The first guy's name is El Mariachi Loco. I'm just guessing that means something like the crazy musician or something like that, because like mariachi band is kind of the idea. But I like it. I can dig that. Dario was a bit too long on his intro before the first match. I don't know why those. I guess El Mariachi Loco was talked about. That was the guy Conan was recruiting, so that's why that was talked about. The first match hasn't even technically started yet, as far as my notes are concerned. Dario's opening segment was a bit too long for me. He was good. It was just a bit too long. I'd rather get into it. You know what I mean? So El Mariachi was up against a midget wrestler. His name was Mascarita Sagrada, which is Spanish for Little Sacred Mask. The dude, I looked him up. The dude was born in 1965. He was 50 years old at the time of this recording. 50 years old. Oh, and apparently they call them minis. Minis? I mean, no matter what you call them, midget wrestler, mini wrestler, no matter what you call them, it sounds insulting, but you have to call them something. And I like mini. I think it's cute. Mariachi Loco is really good at throwing himself to make Mascarita, the little guy, to make him look good. Like, because, he doesn't really have the power to throw him, the bigger guy, over, but he was really good at tossing himself. It was actually really fun to watch. Then Chavo comes out. As if they couldn't make Chavo any more heel, he comes out and starts beating up a little guy. That was very unexpected, but I liked that. Because now we've added a new element of not only is he beating up a little person, but he's also just randomly coming out and beating people up. I like that. That's cool. Vampiro, there was an interview with Chavo and Vampiro. Vampiro is really good at interviews. I like him 1,000 times more on interviews than I do on commentary. Now, and Chavo was really good at the interview as well. And I wonder how many takes it took, because this was not a live interview. This was an interview in the ring, pre-recorded. And it was really well done, and I wonder how many takes it took. I would like to think not too many, but it was really well done. I enjoyed that interview. It's much better than a live interview. I'd much rather it be like that, especially for Lucha Underground. The idea of characters from the street hearing about what Chavo's doing and wanting to come in and beat up Chavo. I really like that idea. I like the idea that there's now a pool of characters, even though we don't know who they are, but there are these characters out there with a predetermined motive. So like, if there's someone, they're like, hey, we like this guy, but we don't really have an idea for him. Well, why don't we have him be off the street and coming in here and wanting to fight Chavo because Chavo's been being a jerk to everyone? Okay, that works. Like, it's a really cool setup to bring in random people. And I like that. It's a really, really smart idea. Then after the interview, there were like 2 other Chavo segments, like pre-recorded stuff in other areas. It felt like too much Chavo in a condensed time, but maybe that's because WWE has me trained that they do stuff like that spread throughout the show, the long show, to keep reminding you of the storyline, and so that they can go back and forth from like behind the stage to the stage, behind the stage to the stage, so to speak. But it was weird having a Chavo interview and then a Chavo run in with somebody in the hallway, and then there was some other Chavo thing. I feel like there were 3 Chavo separate things in a row. I don't know, it felt weird. Mil Muerte's backstory is just believable enough that it's uncomfortably perfect. Because it was like his family died because of a earthquake or something that tore the building, his home down or something. I can't remember the whole thing, but I just remember thinking it had something to do with a natural disaster, I think, and his family died or whatever. He was found amongst the rubble of the apartment building or whatever, and he was brought out and then raised on the streets, and he found this rock, and that was his new idol, so to speak, or something like that. But it was like just believable enough that it made it uncomfortable and awesome at the same time. So I really liked that backstory. And Mil Muerte's match was up against the very first jobber. Like, we haven't seen a jobber yet in Lucha Underground, but this was the first guy who had no introduction whatsoever. It was just like, oh, there's a guy in the ring, and Mil Muertes is gonna eat him. Mil Muertes has a very interesting spear. And by the way, I'm sure I've shown some already, but I was able to get screenshots this time because I watched it on the computer. Mil Muertes has a really interesting spear. It's kind of high up on the chest and has a very vertical launch to it. I liked it. And it's not even really a spear, but I don't know what else to call it, but I liked it. Then next we had a scene where I believe it was Johnny Mundo. Yeah, it was Johnny Mundo going to talk to Dario, and Dario's thugs are out in the hallway watching, playing guard outside Dario's office. And there's a choreographed fight scene. And I understand that all wrestling matches are technically kind of choreographed, but this was choreographed as in like, hey, you're going to do this exactly now, and I'm going to do this exactly now, and we're going to time this perfectly. And it was this little fight scene in a hallway. And it was really neat. It was a nice little touch. The main event ended up being 3 guys that Conan was recruiting in. That match was so good. Those luchas were really, really stellar. And I liked that they allowed these 3 brand new guys to have the main event. Like, that just shows, A, how awesome the show is as a whole, but B, like, listen, we're still wanting to push new talent to you, and we want them to look important, so we're going to put them in the main event. There was one awkward moment where, or a couple of awkward moments, but there was at least one really awkward moment where they were kind of waiting for a spot to happen. Like, there were 2 guys standing on the ground, and they're just like awkwardly standing there waiting for the 3rd guy to get on the top rope and jump on them. It was just some timing issues, but they seemed like they were pretty young wrestlers. Like, there were some issues, but otherwise their abilities and moves that they could do were really, really good, especially Phoenix. We'll talk more about Phoenix later. Actually, well, yeah, we can talk about him now. Sorry, I got lost in my notes. Phoenix is really, really good. He did this thing. I have a GIF of it, actually. I think I'll be able to put it up. He did this thing where he did like this jumping thing on the ropes and like bounced around and like played not hopscotch, but I don't know. He did something weird on the ropes. It was really, really cool. And then I think it was Phoenix did a jump off of the stage, like up in not the rafters, but like on this big wall. I had always seen GIFs and videos online of wrestlers in Lucha Underground doing crazy high jumps. This was finally the first time I've seen it. It was great. And then the finisher was like this reverse Hurricane Rana, and it was spotless. It was absolutely spotless. It was beautiful. Phoenix won, and he deserved that win. Phoenix is good. The dragon guy is a little creepy, and the other guy was like in like a very Asian garb, black and white. He was good too. Dragon dude was creepy. He's good. Great costume, but really good, but weird. But Phoenix clearly deserved to win. And I realized something in this match, because it had so many amazing moments. They don't do instant replays, and I I don't know how I feel about that, because WWE has trained me to like not have to watch it. Like I can be doing something else while watching WWE, because if something really cool happens, they're going to show a replay of it. Well, look at this Maggle, you know, and I can turn and watch the replay, but don't have that in Lucha Underground. Kind of interesting. Outro. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, the outro on this episode. So the outro of that third episode, I don't know if you remember, but Dario always has that key around his neck, and now they're hinting at what it goes to. Well, then I guess they're not really hinting, but they didn't explicitly show it opening the jail cell. But Dario was talking to somebody who was in a prison cell, and he seemed to be a big dude. Like, you didn't really see him, but you could hear him breathing and see his shadow. I'm dying to know who that is, because that is really cool that he has like this caged animal waiting to be let loose. Really, really neat. That was the end of the third episode. Really cool. Then we get to fourth episode, where I really feel like they're kind of like, okay, we're good now. Let's just do what we do and do it well. No huge surprises in the fourth episode, at least not that I remember. Sexy Star opened up with a promo, and she's talking in the ring, and she's speaking Spanish. And I'm glad they're doing that, because as we've seen with people like Cesaro and Becky Lynch, forcing people to speak their non-native language isn't necessarily a good idea. It's better to just let them speak their language and put subtitles. Now, do I think Becky Lynch and Cesaro need to speak their primary language? I don't think so. I think they're good enough. But they know Sexy Star, which I still has that's just the dumbest name. It was nice to see that she was speaking Spanish, and then someone else later was speaking Spanish, and there were subtitles. It's great. I got no problem with that. They are able to put more acting and inflection on their voices that way. Ivelisse then comes out and talking before their match, and tells the crowd is cheering for her, and like she, without missing a beat, shut up, I'm trying to talk. And it was a really good moment to like clarify, oh yeah, we're supposed to boo you, boo. Like that was her very, very well done way to remind the crowd, you shouldn't be cheering for me. And then they had the women's match, and it was very solid, nothing super special, but it was good. Drago came back out. Drago had a match with someone. Oh, Drago had a match later, but Dario went in to talk to Drago backstage, and Drago does his little creepy tongue thing, which we'll talk about it again in a second. And like, it was fun that there's a character that even Dario's kind of afraid of. Like, I don't understand you. Just go out and wrestle. But Dario was basically going in and telling him, hey, you've got a match later against this guy. I expect you to destroy him. And then Drago just does his thing. It was a little odd. Pentago Jr., that was the guy's name I couldn't remember earlier from the main event from the last episode. It was a little odd to have Phoenix versus Pentago Jr. because we just had them against each other in the main event the week before. It was still a really good match. I have no complaints. If anything, I left it knowing that Phoenix is quickly becoming one of my new favorite wrestlers. He like I said earlier, he especially, but all three of the guys from the last main event are a little rough around the edges because they're really young. But Phoenix is good. He, what did I write in the notes here? Oh, he did a springboard leg drop. Dude got so much air to do this leg drop. And it's like, finally, someone made the leg drop look like an actual move that hurts. Because forever we were just believing that, oh yeah, Hulk Hogan's leg falling across your neck gingerly is supposed to put you out. Whatever. But anyways, the height he got on that was crazy. And I looked up him, and he was 24 at the time of that recording, so he's definitely really young. Oh, and then I made a note. Now I understand why they're having somewhat of a repeat match, because they weren't able to use all of the moves in the first match. They left that first match going, hey, we can do a lot more if you'd like us to. Sure, go ahead. It was a really cool finish to the match, but Pentago Jr.'s shoulder was clearly off the mat. Like, he was literally like on it. Well, I got a picture. You can see it for yourself. I think it was Vampiro. It may have been Matt Striker. Sometimes they'll talk and I'll be like, wait, I can't tell which commentator that is. I haven't tuned into their voices quite yet. I'm pretty sure it was Vampiro that said, Drago looking like something out of Gwar. Now there's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Is Gwar even still a thing? I'm kind of afraid to go look up and see if they are. And then I wrote LOL at Drago slyly picking up his tongue goo off the mat. So he comes in the ring and they're like announcing him and he does his and his tongue comes down. And obviously the tongue is just some black thing in his mouth. And I hadn't really been able to tell yet if it was like a gelatinous goo that he just kind of sucks back up in his mouth and it just happens to make a tongue-like shape, or was it like a sticky, non-gooey, like actual solid thing that just kind of stretches that's in his mouth and he somehow spits it out. But no, I think it's an edible goo, because I've never seen him put it away, although I'm sure he probably does and I just haven't noticed. But it was funny because he goes to do it and it comes drooping down, and then this big chunk of it just falls flat on the ground, and it's like, oh, got it. So it is a gooey substance that makes it really extra gross that he's just sitting there with it in his mouth. But anyway, so after he's done and like the camera starts to kind of pan away from him, you can see him reach down and grab it off the mat and like do something with it. I don't know what he did. It'd have been really cool if he was like, just ate it. But Drago's outfit, man, is really top notch. I like it, even with the creepy tongue. Drago's finish with the rolling and tumbling was incredibly confusing and impressive. Oh yeah, there was like, you know how like a lot of times they'll do flips and turns and you have to go watch the replay to see exactly how who did what? This was probably one of the most convoluted ones of those I've ever seen. It was really good. It ended well. And then Vampiro had a great description of that finish, saying the freshest finish you've ever seen. I agree. Good line from Vampiro. At first I was disappointed in what we saw from Big Rick. Oh yeah, then we had a match with Big Rick and Johnny Mundo. And I feel like they kind of held back Big Rick a little bit, but I think that was the point, is that we don't want to give away too much of what he can do, because he's clearly not a lucha. He's just a big muscular guy. He just beats on people. But I liked, and you knew something was going to happen in this match other than just a regular match. You knew it wasn't going to end with a pinfall or a submission. And of course, the two lackeys come in. Cortez, I think one of them. I will never remember their names. The two lackeys come in, but before they come in, they go beat up Prince Puma backstage, which was great because it gave us a reason for Prince Puma not to come out and help Johnny Mundo when they all started beating up on Johnny Mundo. Because so many times in WWE, someone will get beat up in the ring by a group of people, and you're left to wonder, well, where are their allies? Why are their friends not coming out to save them? And I like that Lucha Underground definitively gave us a reason why Prince Puma did not come out and help Johnny Mundo, because they had just finished beating up Prince Puma. And it was cool. They had great, backstage footage of that, so it was really nice. Yeah, and then I ended it with saying what I said at the beginning, which was, that was the first episode that felt like a standard episode. There was no storylines progressed, but there was nothing really new added. So it was good. Yeah, so next week we'll be watching episodes 5 and 6. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am, and we'll see you guys next time. Adios. Goodbye.